So I decided to do 100 drawings of 10 different Pokemons from the newest Pokemon game, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I select a Pokemon from an online Pokédex, and for each drawing I set a timer for 5 minutes. I use 3 of the minutes to draw, and the next 2 minutes to either analyze or continue drawing. If I need more time, I give myself a couple more minutes, but I try to keep each of these drawings to 5 minutes. Meowscara. Okay, with the time constraint, it was important to decide what I wanted to focus on before I started drawing. With the first drawing, I wanted to do the whole whole body, but you can see that the face suffers a lot since I don't have enough time to draw it. So for most of my Meowscara drawings, I focused on the face. I keep shapes in mind when doing each of these, like how the face is like a sphere, the mask is like a starfish shape, and how the hair are like these teardrop shapes, making sure to draw the symmetry properly too, so making sure I draw these shapes symmetrically on both sides of the face, right? Getting the shapes right at this angle is done by using perspective and proportion. Perspective says that things closer look bigger. So for most of the angles, either the left half or the right half is going to look bigger. Proportion is about how big things are, so I do some measuring with the drawings, like I measure the space above the eye, which is about half of the face, and the space between the eyes is about an eye length apart. So with those kind of measurements in mind, you can kind of get more accurate drawings to the actual reference. The guidelines are there so I draw them correct. The guidelines usually follow the right form, like they follow the curvature of the sphere of the head. With Quackable, I wanted to do more body studies. Body, legs, arms. I have a lot of these highlighted parts to show what parts are wrong or what I felt were needed to improve on. The wings are undone on this one, the hat is small, and the chest isn't thin enough here. The legs are too thick here, and the waist is too fat, right? So just making sure that I don't make these mistakes again, or just being aware of my mistakes. And drawing this front view helps with understanding proportions without worrying about perspective. And for my last drawing, I drew the arm, which definitely needs more work. Spidops has all these limbs, so I practiced a lot more with posing with this guy. I remember spending more time on this than the previous Pokemons, but what helps is drawing the silhouette, then drawing over that silhouette. Because it's much more easier to draw the silhouette and then draw over it, because the silhouette should look good, right? If you were to take your drawing and turn it into a silhouette, it should look like a proper silhouette. I remember drawing 5 of these on day 2 and 5 of these on day 3 because I think I burned out at this point. It was getting tiring drawing all these Pokemon. The timer really does help push me to just move on from each drawing, but with Spidops I remember having to spend more than 5 minutes on some of them because of how, big it is. Tinkaton. I found myself drawing Tinkaton pretty well. I don't have much issues with my first 5 drawings actually. I feel like I nailed it because Tinkaton isn't really that detailed. But with the last 5 drawings, I tried posing Tinkaton with the hammer. With the first 2 hammers, there isn't any crazy perspective, so these drawings look nicer. But I struggled to get the perspective right on the last 3, so those end up looking weird. Belly Bolt. Pretty simple design as well. I wanted a good mix of simple and complex Pokemons. I feel like if I had just picked hard Pokemons, then it would have burned me out faster. These simple Pokemons are a nice breather compared to the intensity of the more complex Pokemons to draw. Yeah, so I feel like I nailed most of these. They're not accurate to their reference, but I feel like the sketches look solid. I tried to do some lightning effects. I took a Pikachu screenshot from the anime to help, but I couldn't draw it right. And this top view definitely needs work. The foreshortening is way off. Graphia. Okay. These simple Pokemons, I feel like I've been nailing these drawings. Like this first one, even though it's a copy of the picture, it's pretty good from my first attempt. When I was drawing Graphia, I thought I was giving a middle finger, but apparently it just has this blue part in its finger that is bent, away from the camera. I thought it was drool on this picture. I didn't even notice it on the other screenshot, so I just thought I was just sticking up the finger. King Gambit. Okay. Now, most of the Pokemons from here on out aren't going to be simple designs. This one here is a giant piece of armor, right? And drawing armor is something I want to be able to do, but that's a whole another challenge. I end up just drawing bust shots of these, face shots. I think I should have studied its form more before I drew all of these because the perspective for the mustache looks off on a lot of these and the eyes look wonky too. I failed to draw from angles that aren't the reference because of my lack of understanding of its shape, I feel. Cyclizar, again, I have issues drawing the form. These first four, the face looks so off, it's so wrong. This fifth one looks good because I traced it. I do draw in some wrapping lines and draw through so I could see these wrapping lines behind the head just to get a better understanding of the form. But the next ones aren't that great. They're better, but they aren't passable. I was thinking it's like an egg shape with a kind of banana head attached to it on the back, but a lot of these end up looking too flat or just not matching the proportions properly. Cerulege. Alright, this has got to be one of my favorite designs out of all the Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet. I just can't draw it right. There's a lot of grooves in this design because it's armor, basically, and they aren't these clean straight lines or curves. It's a lot more wobbly shaped. A lot of these edges are just wobbly in nature. And it's one of the more complex Pokemon designs aside from... Is it a legend? I don't even know if it's a legendary Pokemon, but it's a pretty complex Pokemon design to draw. And finally we got Koraidon. I wanted to end off with one of the legendaries. I kind of wanted to draw the other one, but its shape is kind of perverted. I don't know if that's... They had to know, right? Like, come on. Anyways, this was a beast to draw, so I just had to pick some key parts and draw those. I was mainly trying to get the head shape right and the body shape right. But before I actually drew him, I did some form studies by breaking down Koraidon into basic shapes that I could draw. For a while, I just couldn't get the head right, but I came up with what the head would look like. It's like a sphere connected to a oval. That's like a flat oval. This flat oval is like its snout, basically. And the sphere is like the back of its head. And it has this long neck and tail, but other than that, the rest of the anatomy is pretty close to a human's anatomy, for the most part. You can see some muscles, right, that you would see on a human. And for my final drawing, I actually did the line art and colored it, and I spent like 5 hours on it. And I think this drawing is okay. I just don't think it matches the likeness of Koraidon. Like, you can tell it's a Koraidon, but mine looks a bit thinner, or much thinner, and not as big as it should be. The hair feels less poofy, and it just looks small and smaller. I don't know. But yeah, I think that is it. I think drawing 100 of whatever was a good way to get myself to draw. And I actually like drawing Pokemon. It's one of my favorite kind of art styles to kind of get towards as an artist. I think that if I was able to spend more time analyzing my mistakes, references, I could learn from it better. But I like the time limit. It helps with just building speed and getting stuff done, which is good if you don't want to burn out. Like, you don't want to spend too long on this whole challenge, right? It would just drag on. That would be a burnout to me. Anyways, tell me what your favorite Pokemon is from this generation. Or let me know which drawing you like the most. Yeah, see ya. Oh, and thanks for watching this far if you did.